Here are the 5 best pieces of acting advice I have ever learned. Curiosity and imagination. One tool we actors need more than any other is access to our expansive and powerful imaginations. Stella Adler said, "Your curse is that you have chosen a form that requires endless study. It means you have to read, you have to observe, you have to think, so that when you turn your imagination on, it has the fuel to do its job." So much of our job relies on our ability to suspend our own disbelief, place ourselves in fictional circumstances, and live as authentically as we can within them. And pretty much the only tried and true way to expand our imaginations is to feed our insatiable curiosity and learn more and more about what makes us human beings tick. The more we expose ourselves to understanding not just our craft, but also the various behavioral traits and psychological pathways of the human condition, the more source material we will have to draw on when working. Essentially, we are fueling our ability to act an invented story into reality. Don't act. Are you a fan of irony? Then you'll love this one. To act has come to mean to put on a false facade or to force a pretense, basically to lie. Obviously, there is a sliver of fact in this definition, blah. However, it's actually our job to give ourselves over to the moment and react. Larry Moss said, "You can't play an emotional condition, you have an emotional condition. And because you have that condition, you try to overcome it with active doings, intentions." In any given scene, our characters are attempting to get what they want, also referred to as their intentions. Our emotional involvement in a scene as actors is always dictated by what's at stake for our characters if they don't get what they want. Once we authentically lock into what's at stake for our characters, we naturally become more emotionally invested in what they have to lose should they fail. Then, effectively, our emotional reactions will take care of themselves based on what happens in the narrative we are performing. None of that pesky acting required. Justification. When we judge a character for their actions, which can at times seem potentially nefarious or outlandishly silly or even just slightly unrelatable, we tend to then perform a sort of exterior fallacy of how we think a character like that would behave. "I am the villain of this story, and I exist purely to thwart your plans, for no other reason than to be evil." You want the protagonist? I'm just the comic relief. I exist to put the punchline in the commonly used phrase, "I want to punchline this guy in the face." We are distancing ourselves from identifying with their motivations on a human level. Instead of judging, our job is to justify. Stanford Meisner said, "Why is the most important word in an actor's vocabulary." It's not only a matter of asking, what would make my character do this, but also, what would make a human being do this, or even, what would make me do this? The more we actors can justify why our characters behave the way they do in as personally relatable logic as we can muster, the more we can allow ourselves to commit to that why, which will enhance the truth of any performance. I'd like to just clarify, I'm not here to tell you to subscribe to one particular approach to acting. Please subscribe below and like and comment on these videos. The importance of your scene partner. Ted Brunetti refers to artistic karma. Give your scene partner the gift of making them your Juliet, and you will backhandedly become Romeo. In a wonderful sense, this concept is actually a powerful loophole to our responsibility as actors. Let's say you endow your scene partner, whoever they may be, with the same emotional connection your character is supposed to have with their character in the text. Within reason, and within the respectful and professional boundaries of a working environment. I see you. Just gonna rewind the video right to the beginning, 1 sec. One tool we actors need more than any other is access to our expansive and powerful imaginations. This process is using the same talents and muscles that you would use to suspend enough disbelief to believe that you are in Dr. Frankenstein's laboratory as opposed to standing on a stage in front of an audience. Or to channel your focus off the camera that's inches away from your face and concentrate on needing to save a child from a burning building. Or even the skills you summon to believe that there is a burning building there at all and not just smoke mirrors and movie magic. If you do this correctly and respectfully, therein lies the loophole. This comes down to your actions in the scene. Are you trying to convince them, interrogate them, charm them, seduce them, warn them, bewitch them, frighten them, surprise them, in order to get what you want from them? If you lock into the motivation of affecting your scene partner to achieve what you want from the scene, and if you endow your scene partner with as close an emotional connection to you as your character has to their character, you can't help but respond and interact with them just as your character is meant to in the story. If you lock into the reality of your scene partner becoming your Juliet, you can't help but become Romeo. And finally, courage. There are various levels of courage that we actors need to brave this crazy vocation, like daring to be present. Uta Hagen said, "No work of art is ever finished. Nothing is ever static. No performance is for keeps. It is literally and physiologically impossible to repeat a living moment exactly the same way as you had done it before. It is literally and physiologically impossible to repeat a living moment exactly the same way as you had done it before. Literally and physiologically impossible to repeat a living moment exactly." You might get close, but it will never be exactly the same. And those who believe it can be exactly the same are operating under a pretty limited understanding of the human condition. But here's the great news. Realizing you can never do something exactly as you had done it before is freeing as an actor. More on that at 11. Accepting this fact will liberate you from any pressure or often debilitating need to copy or mimic or control every tiny minutia of a performance, which more often than not distracts and hinders us from simply being present. It takes courage to allow yourself to be that present and to trust that your justification will lead you to a truthful performance every time. But trust me, when that truth happens, people will be begging for more of whatever it is that you're doing. Courage to overcome my nerves. I've yet to meet an actor who doesn't get at least a little bit nervous. But here's what I tell myself to alleviate those nerves. Howard Fine said, "The only difference between nerves and excitement is whether you're breathing." Remember, there's a reason we do this job. It's our passion. And frankly, very little thrills us as much as the chance to perform. And when we get the chance to do it, our adrenaline is racing, our minds are electrified, our courage to be who we are is given life and validation. A lot is going on in our bodies. Breathe, pause, breathe again, and remind yourself, you're just super excited. You get to act.